So fellas, the world of combat sports this week has been kind of crazy, from MMA, boxing, freak fights, fight announcements, fights that have potentially been cancelled. We're going to be recapping everything that has kind of gone on in the world of combat sports this week. In multiple sports, whether it be fights, fight announcements, like I've just said, pretty much everything that has gone on in the world of combat sports, we're going to be recapping, and no better place to start than the fight night that we've just had between Cannonier and Imavov. It was a pretty good fight night, to be honest. The main card was really, really good. The only thing that ruined it is obviously, elephant in the room, the early stoppage in the main event, and I did not expect that from Jason Herzog, because Jason Herzog, he's one of the good ones. Like, if I was expecting an early stoppage, I thought it would include Mark Goddard, but for Jason Herzog to get a stoppage that he's that, it wasn't even like it was a controversial, like it was a complete early stoppage there. And that's crucial as well, because the winner of that is probably going to get entered into like a #1 contender fight for the middleweight belt. And if Cannonier was able to cruise through those last two rounds, he would have won the decision. And, you know, it's kind of annoying there, because that can be detrimental to Cannonier, and you can't really do that in fights that have a caliber that high. But good win for Imavov. Probably going to see him versus like the winner of Chimaev and Whitaker, maybe Brendan Allen. But yeah, I feel like the early stoppage kind of ruined it. Dominic Reyes is back in the winning column. I didn't know if this guy was ever going to get a win again. I thought it might be another Tony Ferguson situation where we see this guy just flush his career down the drain, but he got a first round KO. So Dominic Reyes is so back. His title run begins today, and it's always good to see a guy that's been on a losing streak for a long time finally get a win. And yeah, it's just good to see Dominic Reyes win in that fashion as well. Raul Rosas Jr. got a submission in the second round, as I predicted, and now he's calling for 100 Gs. Not sure that's how it works. He did get a performance of the night bonus, but I think you need to beat someone a little bit better than Ricky Tercios to get, you know, 100k. But good win for Raul Rosas Jr. He's on a bit of a streak now. There's some good fights for him. But overall, the main card was actually really fun. It was a pretty solid fight night. Again, if the main event didn't have that early stoppage, it has potential to be one of the best fight nights we've seen this year. But it is what it is. Good win for Imavov, and I kind of feel for Cannonier, man, because you got to be frustrated off after a stoppage like that. But talking of fights, if you haven't paid attention over the weekend, there's been a really viral fight between Eddie Hall and these two random brothers, in like some freak fight. I think they both had a combined weight of 100, not even 160. I think it was like 120 kg between the both of them. And if you haven't seen the viral clip, Eddie Hall power bombs a dude in the octagon, and knocks another dude down, sends a little midget into the shadow realm, which was crazy. And then it ends up being a 1v1 where Eddie Hall gets the TKO. This is crazy. Imagine we saw that in the UFC, like Sergey Pavlovich versus Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval. You know what? I'm not even mad at these fights. It is what it is. They're absolute messes. But when else are you ever going to see Eddie Hall send a midget to the shadow realm? It's never going to happen. You know, these little shows, I'm not too mad at them. And it's gone absolutely viral. Eddie Hall is just doing side quests at this point. The dude is doing absolute side quests. He wants to win the world's strongest man. He goes on Boxer's Thor, and now he's doing 2v1 MMA events in these random promotions. So if you haven't seen the viral clip, you need to go and watch it. It's actually pretty funny. Eddie Hall just sends some random dude to the shadow realm. In terms of fight announcements, we haven't had any crazy fight announcements this week. I mean, we had UFC Denver Namajunas versus Barber get official, and Mike Mallet is in the co-main event. And that dude lost all his aura after he lost to Neil Magny. I'm sorry, man. If you get finished by Neil Magny, your aura's gone, mate. Your aura's gone. You don't deserve to be co-main event. We've got Drew Dober back on the card as well. Nothing crazy in terms of fight announcements this week, but we did get leaked by Mr. Marcel himself that Calvin Kattar is going to be facing Kyle Nelson at September 7th. Big step up for Kyle Nelson, but you know what? I'm not even mad at that matchup. After Kattar's performance against Sterling and how he's been looking recently, I don't think he deserves to fight anyone really high ranked in the top 10 of the UFC, so I'm not too mad at that matchup, and that's all we really had for announcements this week. I feel like last week we had a lot more announcements than we have this week, but you know, there's been a couple fights that have been announced. Also this week, the Ultimate Fighter between, obviously, Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso aired this week. I feel like this show, man, it needs changing because people ain't going to pay attention. I feel like after McGregor-Chandler, that was like the highest this show is going to get. You've got two massive stars in McGregor-Chandler, but after that McGregor-Chandler show, no one's going to, especially when it's like women doing it as well. We've had women before when we had like, you know, Nunes and that. I just don't think anyone really cares about the Ultimate Fighter, especially when it's Grasso and Shevchenko. Just stick them in an octagon and we'll be happy. So it is what it is. I don't really watch this show anyway. Some people might like the show, but I prefer it. Like, the reason I watch the McGregor versus Chandler one is because you can get so many clips from that. You can get so many moments between McGregor and Chandler, but I just don't think you're going to get those moments from Grasso and Shevchenko. But it started airing this week, so if you're into the Ultimate Fighter, there's that for you. Now, this is a little bit of old news. It dates back to UFC 302, but obviously I haven't addressed it yet. I don't know why I'm saying I have to address it as if I'm in controversy, but Dana White's post-fight press conference where he says that John Jones right now is pound for pound above Islam Makhachev, and people are going wild over this. Dana White is a promoter. He's obviously got John Jones versus Stipe Miocic cooking. He's probably got a date that he's going to announce it, and we're probably going to see the announcement of Jon Jones versus Stipe very soon, and he's just trying to build the fight. That's what he's doing. Does he actually believe that Jon Jones is pound for pound above Islam Makhachev? I don't know. But one thing's for sure, he's definitely just trying to promote a fight. Do I agree with him? No, obviously not. Jon Jones' last win was Cyril Gane, and it's his only win since 2020, where Islam Makhachev is just finishing guys like Volkanovski, Poirier, Oliveira. I think he's finished 7 out of his last 8, and that one that he didn't finish was the fight of the year against Volkanovski. So obviously, it's a delusional statement to say that Jon Jones is pound for pound better than Islam Makhachev right now, but I assume he's just trying to promote a fight. Talking of Dana White coming out with delusion, he went on, I think it was the Flagrant podcast this week, went out and said that Power Slap is doing better numbers than like the NFL. I don't know why Dana White comes out with stuff like this, because we can literally see, it's evident for ourselves that we can see that Power Slap isn't getting better views than the NFL. I don't know why he comes out with stuff like this. Like, the only time I ever see Power Slap is when I see it come up on like a YouTube short and then it's gone. So I don't know why Dana White is coming out with these delusional statements. He's really trying to hype up this Power Slap thing, but no one cares, man. Like, it's fun for a YouTube short. No one pays attention to Power Slap in the long term, and I don't know why he's coming out with these statements saying that it's like bigger than the NFL and things like this. He's been saying this for months now. I don't know where he gets this from, but yeah, Dana White's had a few delusional statements, and yeah, Islam Makhachev definitely pound for pound above Jon Jones. Talking to press conferences, Masvidal versus Diaz, another press conference, man. I did a video on this event and how it's like a mess. They've already had like 6 press conferences, and the event, I'm pretty sure, is in July. Why is there so many press conferences for this event? They've had another press conference, and essentially all hell has gone loose. They've had a fight, Masvidal's team versus Diaz's team. There's like a clip of Masvidal pulling someone from Diaz's team by the hair. This event is a complete shamble, man. I mean, first it gets postponed. Now they've had about 7 press conferences, and it's probably not even going to be the last. I don't even know if the fight's still going through. Wouldn't surprise me if it's got cancelled by now. But yeah, this event is a complete mess. Like, these guys are 40 years old, man. Like, they're in their 40s nearly. Masvidal's, I think he's like 40 years old. I don't know why they're doing this, man. Just get your fight, get your bag. I feel like this whole fighting and street fighting thing is all extra at this point. I mean, it made for a good clip of Masvidal pulling that dude's hair, but yeah, they've had another fight this week at the press conference. They're like the 7th press conference, and I feel like this event is just in the dirt now. No one really gives a shit about this event, and that is what it is. And talking of terrible events, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson this week got cancelled because obviously Mike Tyson, he was on the plane and he had health issues, and Jake Paul doubled down on it, and he's still fighting Mike Tyson. It has a new date, November 15th, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson 2. Man, if this fight was never good to begin with, no one wanted to see a 50-year-old Mike Tyson be in there with Jake Paul. But now that Mike Tyson's had health issues and the fight has had to be rescheduled, this even makes you think that this fight is even in worse hands than it were before. I don't know why Jake Paul's doing this. Out of all the people you could have boxed, I know it's a big name in Mike Tyson, but you've got to have some sort of shame, especially after the health issues that have come out with Mike Tyson. But it's been rescheduled, November 15th. I don't know if the exact card is the same. I don't know if we're going to be seeing Darren Till on the card or not, because I know Darren Till as well, he's been like, I think he DM'd Jake Paul asking to fight him, and Jake Paul left him undelivered or something, which just shows the state of Darren Till's career. The dude went from fighting for a belt to getting aired by Jake Paul. But yeah, the Paul versus Tyson clown show has been rebooked. Another bit of, I'm not going to say controversy, but fans have kind of been getting outraged over the UFC 304 poster. I mean, if the start times weren't bad enough, now they've got to made quite possibly one of the worst posters in the UFC. I don't know what this poster is. I mean, the UFC 300 poster was basic, but this is worse than basic because they've just stuck the PNG of 4 fighters and put them diagonally. I don't understand the point of this poster. UFC need to hire some new poster makers, man, because it feels like every single poster is the most cheap-looking poster you could probably think of. And I know at the end of the day, it's just a poster, but there's like concept posters on from these guys on Twitter that look way better than what the UFC team are producing. So the UFC need to hire some new team to develop these posters. And then if we look in the future, next week, or this week I should say, Perez versus Tyra fight night is going down. It's a pretty decent fight night, to be honest. Not the biggest star power, but there's some good fights on there, obviously. Ikram Aliskerov's back on the card, which I want to see because he's one of my favourite prospects in the middleweight division right now. Obviously, we got Perez, who's coming off that knockout knockout over Nicolau, taking on undefeated Tyra. So that should be a really intriguing main event. We've got Joshua Van versus Tegea on the prelim headliner, which I don't know if that should have been on the prelims. I think that could have easily made it to the main card. There's just a lot of good fights on this fight night. It's overall a pretty solid fight night, but also going down on that date, we have a boxing match between Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen. Now, the promotion for this card has been silent. I haven't heard anyone speak of it, and I've only just realised that it's still going down. But yeah, it's this week. Anderson Silva is going to be boxing Chael Sonnen in like a exhibition boxing match. Chael Sonnen's going to get KO'd, man. This is going to end badly for Chael Sonnen. I know it's an exhibition. I don't know if it's with headgear or anything like that, but Anderson Silva is going to absolutely destroy Chael Sonnen in this boxing match. But if you want to see Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva have a final fight in a boxing match rather than Perez and Tyra, you do that. It's official, the boxing match. But that is pretty much every significant thing that has gone down in the world of combat sports this week. Let me know if I've missed anything significantly out, but yeah, it's been kind of wild, man, especially with these freak fights and these press conferences. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Cannonier Imavov fight last night, and thank you for watching.